as we welcome in for the first time in 2025, Joe Convertino Jr. from CH Insurance and our Cup of Joe. Joe, Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year, Gomez and Lisa. How are you guys?
Good.
Great.
Kind of riding it out. You know, we're down here in Armory Square, and I'm looking out the window. I know your offices aren't far from here, so just good old-fashioned January Central New York snow, but we're able to, you leave early and drive slow, etc. But not the case, obviously, out west, and we were just chatting on the phone a little bit about the really tragedies that are happening right now in Southern California and L.A. with the wildfires.
Yes, that's first off, our hearts and prayers go out to them out there. I mean, 40 acres that are continuously burning and people evacuating, and it's just awful. I think they're saying, 40 square miles of 40,000 acres?
Yeah, something like that.
It's awful. And I know, Gomez and Lisa, we were chatting. These are neighborhoods. This isn't the mountains like we normally see. This is neighborhoods like you and I live in.
Yeah. And you try to imagine that. You drive home or look out the window or wherever you happen to be at the moment and picture wherever you live. If you live in a neighborhood or a subdivision and having it gone within a matter of like an hour or two in some cases. You're hearing some of these stories where one guy is an actor from a soap opera or whatever, but they were watching television and they recognized their neighborhood on the TV coverage and they went, what?
Yeah.
And then they looked out the window. That's how they found out that it was their neighborhood, and that's how fast, an hour later, their house was gone.
Yeah, there's all been different pieces on the news. One guy said he had 20 minutes. They interviewed a guy. He goes, doesn't matter how much money you have, this is real, and it's happening to us. And they said just try to be a tight-knit community, band together, help each other, and it's still going. I mean, you can't even think about insurance right now. Like everything they said could be rebuilt, but, we got our family. That's number one.
It is the most important thing. But then again, Joe, at some point when the dust settles, hopefully this doesn't last much longer and they're able to get things contained and start the cleanup and rebuilding part. But what a mess from the insurance end. And I know in the whole big picture, it's small potatoes, is like I said, if you got your family and you survived it. But when you have to start dealing with it, how long would it take for somebody in that situation, and the thousands of homes have been destroyed, to actually get an insurance person at your property and to go through that and to then get whatever your values
to rebuild? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, with a catastrophe, this is going to be worse than probably the hurricanes in Florida, right? So hurricanes in Florida, I think we talked about, were 80 billion, 100 billion. Here's going to be it's got to be another 100 billion, 80 to 125 billion. So, they got to rebuild. You're going to have, different carriers are going to have their catastrophe teams out there. But good luck getting contractors and doing all the things that you need to do. So this is going to be a long, I'm going to say 2-year process. You got whole towns down.
Yeah.
And it's going to affect, when you talk the industry, it's not going to affect, us here, but we talk about all the properties and catastrophes that are happening around the world with tornadoes, hurricanes. Now we have more wildfires. It ultimately affects the industry as a whole, guys, probably down the road, right? Because of all the reinsurance and what they call facultative insurance, where insurance carriers go out and get reinsurance for things like this in Malibu or in Florida with hurricanes. And I don't know what's going to happen. I don't have a magic 8-ball, but it sounds like, premiums and all that are going to probably continue to rise.
Now, Joe, if you have a house that burns completely down, and there's a mortgage on the house, who gets the money? Does the bank?
Well,
does the insurance company pay the bank? How does that work?
Yes, that's where you have the lost payee information. So you're going to rebuild it. but the bank, whatever's left on, the loan or something, the bank would get paid off. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
So the
if you had
bank gets paid off, and then you get the additional money to rebuild?
Well, remember, you're still paying your mortgage, even though the house is down, because you're rebuilding to replacement cost. So the bank probably wants to see to make sure you're going to rebuild. Let's say you wanted to just end it, right, and maybe sell the lot. The insurance would pay the remaining whatever's on the loan, and you didn't want to rebuild, or you want to rebuild what's left from the proceeds.
All right.
What a complex, and then just like the like you've seen the video of the bulldozer having to move abandoned cars out of the way so that the fire department could get through the clogged roadways to get to the fires. You know what I'm saying, Joe? Like, does it just get all, it's a catastrophe, or now do you have to go through the car was abandoned, but the bulldozer from the city is the one that plowed it out of the way? You know what I mean? Like it seems like silly little things.
Yeah, they're not going to nitpick in this, similar to a hurricane, right? I mean, this is a catastrophe. You're going to have auto insurance, right? Vehicles being banged up for, trying to go get your family. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, so you're going to have not only property claims, you're going to have, don't forget the businesses, right? You're going to have, loss of revenue. Businesses have to rebuild. Restaurants, they said down there, schools, churches. I mean, it's not just homes. It's towns, and it's both personal and commercial. So it's devastating. But most carriers will fly in catastrophe teams to help put people at ease and try to get them to where they were pre-loss.
And I know, just one final thought on that, Joe, before we let you go, because we do bring this up once in a while, and that's making sure that wherever you live, here in Central New York or wherever, to talk with your insurance guy to make sure you have the right amount of replacement value in the event that something horrific or tragic happens like this.
Yes, we talk about, work with an independent agent like CH Insurance, work with him or her to help guide you through the process, right? We had a tornado come through Rome. We know we get blizzard whiteout conditions. People have sump pumps. We got to keep the heat on, right? Because pipes freeze. We see a lot of those claims. So you just got to know your surroundings and what happens in your area and really manage the risk in whatever situation you are, whether it's your family or your business.
Joe, thanks. I know it's complex, and that we'll talk to you here in a couple of weeks, and then hopefully some happier things to chat about with you. But to thank you for the time this morning, and always appreciate it.
You got it. Happy New Year to you both.